Hello friends, welcome to Knowledge Bytes. This is the part 4 of Microsoft Azure Fundamental Series or the AZ-900 series. In the last video or part 3, we had discussed about Azure Region. To take a quick recap, Azure Region is a geographical area which hosts one or more data centers connected via low latency network. Now let's move forward and talk about availability zones. Availability zones, also known as AZs, are physically separated data centers within an Azure region. Each availability zone is made up to one or more data centers equipped with independent power, cooling and networking. So basically the idea is if one zone goes down, the other will continue to work. Availability zones are generally connected through high-speed private fiber optic networks. So what it is meant to, let's discuss in a diagram. So in one Azure region now, we know that can have multiple availability zones like these: availability zone 1, 2 and 3. Within each availability zone now can have multiple one or more data centers. Then each availability zone are connected via private channel or private fiber channels. That means low latency networking is connected between them. So let's say something happens to availability zone 1, then availability zone 2 or 3 would be served as a backup of this availability zone and continue to operate, and your services will run normally. So you will have high availability by using this technique. The next concept is called regional pairs. So mostly Azure regions are paired with another region within same geography. This is an important technique for Azure to ensure if there is a region-wide outage for something like a natural disaster, or maybe a war, or something that has affects the entire region, then the paired region will serve as the backup or the way to run your services normally. Say there is an earthquake happened to one of the Azure region, and so normally there would not be a power, there would not be a capability, or maybe data center could get damaged. So normally that you as a customer would certainly need that your business should be running 24/7. So the secondary region would help you to get that your backup data restored or will automatically restored in a paired region. Most of the Azure regions has a paired region. For example, the East US region is been paired with Central US. This is one of the region pair. Maybe one of the, so to give an example to in a brief knowledge, in India there are two or three regions. So each of the region must be paired with each other, so that one region goes down, other Indian region would be serving as your need, so that you doesn't go out of your geography and you continue to host your services as you normally. But not all the time each of the region would be available in the same country. It would be more around the geography, like US geography, EU region, something like that, right? So in this diagram you can see this is a diagram of region pair, where there is a one Azure region. Within that one Azure region there are multiple availability zones. So the first Azure region has 3 availability zones. Also the second Azure region also has 3 availability zones. Now we have previously learned each availability zone can have one or more data centers. So your data is being redundant and resilient as well as highly available utilizing those techniques. And that is why service providers like Microsoft or any cloud providers can give an SLA like 99.999, depending upon the number of nines after point depends upon the service you are utilizing. So almost, and some of the services also have 100% SLA, but exceptionally, but mostly 99%, which is a very high, which generally in a private cloud or on-premise is not possible. Moving ahead, the next concept is called sovereign regions. So sovereign region is nothing but a government regions, or specifically created for a government or a government institutions. So government means that could be like one government could be like Chinese government, US government or Indian government. So Microsoft will certainly not put data into public cloud sections of the public facing data centers. Rather they will create regions for that, which the public regions or sovereign regions that I was showing earlier while we are taking a demo of the Azure regions in the part 3. If you have not watched, please go and watch the part 3. So you will see that there we will discussing about the sovereign region. So sovereign region is a specialized region particularly designed and created for legal compliance and additional tight security for government. That government will be generally using government or a government body. It could be directly US government, it could be also a government bodies like NASA, or maybe the Defense Department of US may be having a separate different region. So, right, so this is sovereign region. So in exam perspective, you may get question like, let's say Indian government wants to keep their data, what should be the most suitable Azure services to choose? The options could be like sovereign region, Azure region, Azure availability zone, or Azure data center. So obviously you need to choose sovereign regions. Moving ahead, we have something called subscriptions. So subscription is nothing but a logical entity. While we are creating the free account, you must have seen like upon creating the free account, it automatically provision a free subscription or a trial subscription for us, right? So if I have to talk a definition, Azure subscriptions are a unit of management, billing and scale. So basically a logical way to organize or group your billing for your similar needs. So in this example, you'll see there is an Azure account we have created. Again, each previously as we have discussed, Azure account, one account can be associated with multiple subscription. Here we have 3 different subscriptions called dev subscription, test subscription and production subscription. Naturally, production subscription hold the production workload, where developers are developing the newer features or newer things for your or newer application itself for your business need. Test subscription is where testers is playing around or testing the new features or new application itself. And production is the production workload. So obviously, what is the benefit of isolating with different subscriptions? Maybe your dev, either the policy would be loosened, there would be less secure than the production. Production would be tighter security, tighter restriction, less access to people, right? And also you don't want to get the billing of our production and dev in the same billing, so that you can know like how much you are spending for dev, how much you are spending for production, and how much for testing use cases. The next is called resources and resource groups. So resources is basically any services you provision within Azure are called resources. Whether it's a virtual machine, web app, database, network, or any storage resources, anything that you provisioned in Azure are called resources. What is a resource group? Resource group is simply a grouping of resources. So basically, you can think of it more like a resource group is like a folder where you can keep your presentations, your notepad files, text files, your videos, audio, similar things. So similarly, you will create similar to folders in computers. You will create resource group to organize similar or like-minded resources, which would be used for a common purpose, so that you can have a better tracking and better organization of resources. Now, let's take a look at the resource group hierarchy. At the top of the resource group hierarchy is management groups. A management group is something, an entity which you can associate with a subscription. So basically, a subscription is controlled by a management group. Within a subscription, there could be one or more resource groups, and within resource groups, you can create one or more resources. If I give you a complicated or nested example, here in this example, you can see there is a root management group which is associated with the tenant or the account level. Within this management group, again, one management group can contain another child management group or directly to the subscriptions. Here in this example, root management group contains 2 subscriptions and 3 different management groups called human resource, IT and marketing. Now each of these child management groups again has different management groups, like IT has a production management group. Within IT there are 2 different management groups, and then these management groups has multiple different subscriptions. Or you can have a combination of both management group and subscription, like human resource has a dev and test subscription and another management group called apps. Or you can simply have one management groups associated with multiple subscriptions only, like my marketing has 2 different free trial subscription associated with it. Now Let's directly jump into Microsoft Azure portal and see them in action. To access Azure portal, you need to browse this URL called portal.azure.com and you will be routed to this page. Since I am already logged in, I will directly jump into the management groups. You will be able to see management groups in your home page directly over here. If you are unable to view this here, then you can click on the three little bar on the top of your left hand corner. Then you can go to something called all services and it should be popping up in the general. But even though you cannot see this, then type in the filter called management group. Once I click the management group, it took me to a blade. Here you can see the tenant group good. There is already the tenant group good, and my subscription groups is associated with it. Currently, I do not have a subscription, so what I will do, I'll start by creating two child management groups. So I'll do a click create. So each management group should be having an unique ID and a display name. So I'll create two management groups. Let's say one is called HR, another is called IT. I'll give ID 1 for HR and click submit. While it is getting created, I'll submit another request for IT management group. This time I'll give the group ID as 2 and name as IT, and I'll submit. If you wait for a couple of seconds, you should be able to see our management groups popped up here. So given a refresh, you see that HR management group has been showing over here. So I'll try to give another refresh to see if I can see IT. So I think we need to wait for another couple of seconds to get that IT management group to be popped up. Okay, so now my IT resource group has also associated with it. In case if I had multiple subscriptions, I could have moved a subscription for HR or IT so that HR can only see a subscription associated with for their need, and they are billing, their access and everything controlled by this management group, or where IT can have a different subscription. Since I do not have that one, but still I'll show you how you can do that. If you click this three little dot and click beside the subscription and click move, it will give you an option to move to which management group. Since I now have two management group, it will give you a choice to select the management group. Let's say I want to move it to IT. Click on save, then it will automatically be moved. But I do not want that right now, so I'll click on cancel. Now, there is another way to associate a subscription. That is, if you click on the three little dot besides the management group, I click on add a subscription here. You can again add a subscription directly to this management group. Or also you can click a child group. Let's say within HR, I'll give this ID as 1111. I'll say this is recruitment HR, and I'll create another child group called let's say fiscal HR. So maybe within HR I have two different teams. Like one team is dedicated for recruiting new people or new talents. Another team is dedicated to resolve the financial problems. So now you can see HR I can expand to another thing called recruitment HR. So this is the way that you can create nested management groups, and you can associate subscription with it and other things. And if you wait for another couple of seconds, so it's already updated. So now you can see I have a management group hierarchy where I have the tenant or the root at the top, or the top of the food chain, and within that I have two another management group called HR and IT. Within HR I have fiscal HR and recruitment HR management group, and IT has no other management group currently. So now we will take a look how to create a resource group. Again, if you come to the home screen of Azure, you should be able to see something called resource group. But if you are not, then click on this three little bar on the top left corner, or it's also called portal menu. Then you click on something called resource groups. Once you click on resource group, it will redirect you to a new blade. Then if you click on create, then it will ask you for a name and a region to choose. I say this is a resource group for application 1. So I'll name it as app 1. I'll actually name it as app RQ1 and choose the region. So I want this to be in central India. So I'll choose this region. And then I have to click review plus create. So once the validation is passed, you can click on create to actually provision the resource group. So now my one resource group is created. Let's say I want another resource group for application 2. This time I want it to be part of South India. So again I will repeat the same process. So this time I've given it a name called app RG2, and I'll find the region for India and I'll give the region for South India, and then I'll click review for create. Currently I'm not going to tags because we have a dedicated section for tags and we'll discuss tags on there, and on that time we'll review the tags with resource group. For now I'll just click review plus create and my resource group would be created. So this is as simple as you can get started with Microsoft Azure. In this tutorial we learnt about management groups, resource groups and general Azure things. Now we'll talk about the last thing, that was resources. So if you come to home screen, you will see something called create a resource bar, and if I click on to this, it will show me the popular Azure services such as virtual machine, web apps, database, and there are tons of options to choose from: compute, container, database, DevOps, IT, Internet of Things, etc., etc. So basically anything you provision in Azure is called, or any services you consume Azure is called a resource. We'll learn more about in resources in common Azure resources sections. That would be the part 5 of the video. For now, we'll end this video for now. If you like this, please do like, share and subscribe. And also, if you have any doubt or any questionnaires or any suggestion, please put them into a comment. Thank you, and we'll be back soon with the part 5 of the AZ-900 series.